Money FM 89.3, best of breakfast. Mind your business, only on Money FM 89.3.
Thanks for joining us on The Breakfast Show. It's Mind Your Business with me, Audrey Seek. Now, if you've spent any time in the tech scene, you'll know it's buzzing. From AI and deep tech to even space tech, Southeast Asia is carving out its spot as a global innovation hub. One name right in the thick of this is AppWorks, one of the region's top startup accelerators and VCs. AppWorks has helped shape the region's innovation story. They just marked 15 years of nurturing startups with their milestone 30th demo day here in Singapore, where they put the spotlight on 18 startups that are shaping the next wave of big ideas. So, what's really driving the startup economy here? What do founders need to know to get ahead? And what do investors want in this new funding climate? To help us unpack all of this, we're very glad to have with us on the show Alyssa Chen, Principal Accelerator at AppWorks. Thank you so much for joining us this morning from Taiwan.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Good morning.
It's great to have you on, Alyssa. So let's start with the big picture here. We know that AppWorks is headquartered over in Taiwan, but you operate here in the region. And Southeast Asia's AI scene has really picked up the pace lately. So let's start with what makes Southeast Asia such an interesting testbed for AI startups right now.
Yeah, so Southeast Asia, as you know, it's a very interesting inflection point. So everybody knows that we have digitally native population, rising internet and mobile penetration, and a lot of unmet needs across sectors like finance, logistics, education, healthcare, etc. So these are actually the perfect conditions for AI because there are a lot of proprietary data that AI can utilize for. So I think it's very exciting that the innovation here doesn't just copy the West. So the founders here in Southeast Asia actually are creating some leapfrog solutions. So for the previous startup generation, you see how mobile wallet took off in Indonesia and how Vietnam engineers, they're building some global crypto protocols. So based on those fundamentals, now I think we are at the point where we can fully utilize AI in Southeast Asia.
All right. So AppWorks has actually been around for a while. You guys just marked 15 years and your 30th demo day. So looking back, how would you describe how Southeast Asia's startup scene has evolved since AppWorks first got started?
So when we first started, that was in 2010. And we first started in Taiwan. That's why where our headquarters is. So since around 2015, 2016, we started expanded into Southeast Asia. And first, we actually got our first batch of international applications from Singapore. So I believe our very first startup joining was, I guess everybody know, Shopback from Singapore. And then fast forward till now, 15 years after, I see a huge change. So at the beginning, international startup only composed of a few within the batch. But now, actually, every batch of our accelerator, more than 70%, they are from Southeast Asia. So you can see how vibrant the environment it is. So now within the 70%, we also see more diverse applications. So at the very beginning, we receive application like from Singapore, Hong Kong, the more developed market. But now the application actually comes a lot from, say, Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines. So what entails is you can see more talent in this market. They're willing to do startups now. And secondly, we also see a more diverse and vibrant growth in this developing market. So that's the change.
Okay. So are there emerging trends or pain points that founders uniquely try to solve in this part of the world that maybe, Silicon Valley or Europe, they aren't as focused on these areas?
I think it's very different. So founders here in Southeast Asia, I think they often build for access and inclusion, not just about efficiency. So many users and business across Southeast Asia, as you may imagine, they are still maybe unbanked, insured, or they are offline. So solving for that looks very different than in Silicon Valley or in Europe. So you can see the innovations here in Southeast Asia. It's around, for example, agent network or QR-based payment or logistics for area that even without formal address. So because these are the reality on the ground. So in Southeast Asia, we don't do copycat solution. It's more like contact driven. Many are very resilient.
All right. So we also want to talk about your demo day, the 30th demo day, I believe. You guys showcased 18 new startups working in AI, Web3, deep tech, even space. So what stood out for you about this batch of startups? Any trends that really signal where innovation is heading next?
So like in this batch, we actually selected 45 startups to our most recent batch 30. And among the 45, 18 of them just completed their pitch to the Singaporean investors in June. In this particular batch, we really see more and more startups that are utilizing AI because of, all those open source and data, they are now available for founders to fully utilize that. And other than that, we also have startups building on Web3 and startup from Southeast Asia. So maybe if I can give you one example, then I will share about a startup from Singapore. So the startup called Alyssa, it's a Singapore-based startup building propulsion systems for small satellites. So they are turning space tech into something more accessible and more commercially viable, and doing it with their deep technical expertise. So they are from Singapore. So you can tell that this very difficult topic, but you can easily find it just in the industrial park in Singapore. So we also took this startup to Taiwan and pitched to Taiwanese investors and corporate. And many of the guests are really impressed by their deep tech. So these are one of the examples from our recent batch 30.
Okay, so deep tech is another big pillar for AppWorks, So from your vantage point, what are some of the unique challenges, opportunities as well, for deep tech founders in this region?
Yeah, so for deep tech founders, deep tech at the same time, the founders itself need to equip with very solid industry experience. That's first of all, most important thing. And secondly, because of deep tech, they also need to tap into relevant network for resources. For example, academic resource, talent resource, or even manufacturer resource. And especially for a deep tech founder, it's not really the same or similar with how founders build software. For deep tech, it usually takes longer period of time to ship product and to conduct POC. So the funding support is also equally important. And why we are very bullish on deep tech in this region, especially our headquarters in Taiwan, is because if you know Taiwan, we are proud of our manufacturing power, our digital talent, and all of the supply chain here in Taiwan. So give you some names you might know, the TSMC, the NVIDIA. So especially for international startups, Southeast Asian startups who want to build on deep tech, we now do have a strategy to bring them to Taiwan for more business opportunity, POC opportunity, as well as to connect them with the manufacturer here in Taiwan.
Yeah, so Taiwan has definitely become a rising name when it comes to innovation. But of course, over here in Singapore, we have founders trying to tap into regional opportunities as well. So what do you think makes Singapore an attractive launch pad for scaling into the broader Southeast Asian market?
So Singapore founders have an edge. You guys have very strong capital access, and you have also very strong policy support and equipped with the global mindset. So more and more we are seeing the Singaporean founders pair that with very strategic regional plays. So from Singapore and starting from day one, they already know they are not limited only in Singapore. So they do have plans to enter Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Thailand, all this market nearby through partnership, through local teams, or do some soft landing. teams. Yeah, so I think that's the age Singaporean founders equipped with. And at AppWorks, we do help founders think through this expansion path, especially into Southeast Asia. So we offer them insight and then connect them with our local founder as well as investor network in this market.
All right, Alyssa, you also talked about funding just now. That's always top of mind. What are you seeing in the current funding landscape? What are investors prioritizing when they assess early stage startups now?
So I think we already passed the era. I remember when I first joined AppWorks, that's a couple years ago. And back then, the investors and the founders were all surrounded with a mindset, which was to raise and burn and scale. But because of the market condition recent years, I think both investors and founders have changed their mindset, especially in recent 1 and 2 years. Investors, we focus on, or we encourage early stage founders to still pursue funding, but burn it wisely, manage the money wisely, and think about where you really want to use that funding for, and don't do those scaling just for vanity metric. For example, in the past few years, people might burn to chase for user growth. But now we will encourage founders to think about how to wisely use the funding for more longer term.
All right. And a lot of founders, of course, dream of going global or scaling, but not every startup is ready, right? So what signs do you look for that a startup is ready to scale beyond its home market?
I think when the startup want to expand outside of its home market, it doesn't really matter it's early stage or growth stage. The more important thing, in my point of view, is if you already see some signals, some early signals that in the new market, you see clients, they are interested in your solution. That's one thing. And secondly, if you do have an edge, for example, in another new market, you have a unique connections with the leader industry, leader corporates there, or you have special connections to higher talents there. I think no matter you are at the early or a mature stage, as a founder, you need to have some unfair advantage to kickstart new market expansion.
All right. Well, that was a deep dive into what's shaping Southeast Asia's startup economy right now. Ideas are only getting bolder, and it's exciting to see how AppWorks is helping them turn big dreams into sustainable ventures. So, Alyssa, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. That was Alyssa Chen, Principal Accelerator at AppWorks. Stay with us on Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.